Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 5th race in the ARCS Cup Series season. We're going to be going to the inaugural race, this time at Martinsville. So, we're going to be going to Martinsville. The standings right now going into this race, we have Richard Herman, who just got ahead of Colonel Basher, who did not finish the last race in a crash, if you remember, with Jefferson Pratt, Dalton Jones, and Daniel Carter. And now, Richard Herman has got first after his win there. Robert Hartley second now after finishing second in the last race. Lee Jones has also moved up to third, passing Colonel Basher. And Chris Michael is in fifth. So anyways, without further ado, let's go down to the track and see what is up.
Drivers, to your cars.
Alright, we're here at Martinsville. We see Colonel Basher has gotten the pole for this race, and we're just about to start in now.
Drivers, start your engines.
Told you. So anyways, yeah, we see Colonel Basher has gotten the pole here. Robert Hartley, his teammate, is starting second, and Mark Bell Jr. starting up third. And once again, Jameson Pratt starting fourth. I believe he started fourth last race too, but didn't finish the race because he got caught up in that wreck. And Dalton Jones is starting sixth. So hopefully Jameson Pratt and Dalton Jones can get a better luck in these races, as well as Dennis Reese, who finished fourth or fifth last race. I don't remember. He's starting fifth again in this race at Martinsville. So this is going to be very interesting. What is going on with those drivers there? They're checking up. And here we go. The green flag is out. We're racing at Martinsville. All right, here we go. Colonel Basher is leading the race, and Mark Bell Jr. is following in second. How's this going to go? We don't know. Robert Hartley there is stuck on the outside line. Dennis Reese is holding it away from him. But Mark Bell Jr. already has some space to catch up to Colonel Basher. Robert Hartley falling back down to fourth. Mark Bell Jr. is going to have to try and keep up. Can he do it? Can Mark Bell Jr. get a good race here? Maybe even take the win at some point. Maybe Mark Bell Jr. can finally get his first win here. Mark Bell Jr. and his teammate Eddie Moore are sitting 6th and 7th in the point standings. They're both really good drivers. Bullet Motorsports is quite an underdog team. They haven't quite won yet, but maybe Mark Bell Jr. can finally get Bullet Motorsports in the headlines this Sunday. Well, we'll have to see how this race turns out, because Colonel Basher might just take another win, get his 7th win here. That would be staggering, absolutely staggering. But maybe Mark Bell Jr. can keep the trend going of Colonel Basher's pretty bad luck, because, I mean, Colonel Basher finished 31st last race because of that terrible accident. Only time will tell what will happen. It looks like Colonel Basher and Mark Bell Jr. are pulling ahead of the other drivers. Let's see what's happening back in the back. Here we have the fight for last. Martin Lynch passes Simon Mayer for, I believe, 31st. Yeah, we have 31 drivers here. It's a shame Simon Mayer is going to have to be the back marker of the field. Look at everybody here. Got a ton of drivers. All right. Not much is going to be happening in the first couple of laps. Fastest lap time is being held by Colonel Basher, who's in first, and the second fastest time is being held by Mark Bell Jr., who, of course, is in second. Robert Hartley has the third fastest lap, which was third. He was third, but Dennis Reese has passed for third. Now Dennis Reese is following up in the top three, which is pretty good. And Dennis Reese actually has another good lap time. Now he got the 3rd fastest lap time. He had the 5th fastest lap time, but he's getting better. Dennis Reese is improving, and Mark Bell Jr. now has the fastest lap with 21.324 seconds. And as the drivers get more experience around the track, because of course it's the inaugural race, we may see even faster lap times as we get accustomed to this track, because it's still a new track for us. Yeah, also it's a paved oval, so pretty fancy by our standards. Wow, look at this. The gap is just getting big already. A 1.88 second gap between Colonel Basher and 3rd place Dennis Reese, while Mark Bell Jr. is still just over a half a second behind behind Colonel Basher, the leader. And let's see what's happening with Richard Herman, who just won the last race. He's with his teammate Gary Wilson in 11th. Now, I don't think Richard Herman is going to be too happy being not intense in the top 10. But it looks like Richard Herman might just get past and get back into the top 10. He doesn't even have in the top 10 of the fastest lap times. He's 11th too. No wait, that isn't the fastest lap times. Here it is. He is. He does have top 10 fastest lap time. Maybe he could get by Lee Jones here. We'll just have to see. There's Daniel Carter, the champion of the first season in the series. He's running around in 8th. Pretty cool. He's also in the 8 car. But yeah, Daniel Carter is now running back up in front in these races, and it's you'd love to see it. We welcome you back to the front of the pack, Daniel Carter. We've missed you. Mike Riley? Also running in 7th. I don't know how Mike Riley is up here, but he is. Hello, Mike Riley. Yeah, Mike Riley is another new driver. He's running up here in the top 10. I don't know how he's doing it, but he is. Of course, it's a welcoming surprise. Mike Riley right now is 31st in the point standings. With just 3 starts, 0 top 10s, 0 top 5s, 0 top 10s. So, nothing much going on with him. Jameson Pratt running up in 5th, I believe. Yep, right behind Robert Hartley. Jameson Pratt is also getting pretty good too. It's amazing. See how everyone's changing. And Roman Grosjean of Hughes Racing is following up at 6th. Chris Michaels not doing too well in 15th, battling Billy Harrison for 14th. Well, actually, it's passing right now for 14th, and there he goes. Chris Michael now in 14th. Pretty cool. And back to the leaders. Let's see what's happening with them. Colonel Basher is still leading, but Mark Bell Jr., surprisingly enough, is able to keep up, only being 0.5 seconds behind. Usually, whenever someone gets ahead of the other drivers, they pull ahead of everybody. Like, usually, like 2 seconds ahead of second place or 4 seconds. But Mark Bell Jr. is doing a pretty good job of keeping up to the pace of Colonel Basher. Only just barely 0.44 seconds behind now. He can still close in that gap. But it looks like it's pretty much stabilizing at the moment. And it doesn't look like he's going to be making a pass soon. Or maybe he could. You never know. You never know when something could just happen out of the blue, like a caution or a wreck. Because, I mean, we're racing at a short track, so just got to be wary of wrecks here and then. And Colonel Basher takes lap 21. Oh boy. Robert Hartley in 4th is now just about 3 seconds back from the leader. Yeah, when I say they're pulling ahead, they're really pulling ahead. Like, third place, Dennis Reese is about 2 seconds behind Mark Bell Jr. So it looks like even Mark Bell Jr. can pull away from the other drivers here, which is pretty respectable. I can respect the amount of skill that Mark Bell Jr. has. Hasn't had a lot of opportunities to really get it out there, but maybe this today could be the day. Mark Bell Jr., can he win the inaugural race at Martinsville? We'll just have to see. Oh look, there they go. Got a lot of drivers here. Looks like Mark Bell Jr. is closing in that gap though. Looks to be 0.39 seconds back now. If Mark Bell Jr. could just keep it on the bottom and keep it consistent, he could definitely catch up and pass Colonel Basher if he really stuck his heart to it. Which he's trying. He's trying hard. Mark Bell Jr. still running behind Colonel Basher. 0.41 seconds behind. The gap is pretty much stable at the moment. Oh, that was interesting. Mark Bell Jr. still keeping up. Looks like Colonel Basher is going just a bit wide before Mark Bell Jr. does, going into the corners. That seems to be keeping Colonel Basher in the lead. So maybe Mark Bell Jr. has to adapt to Colonel Basher's driving style to take a pass. I don't know. But I doubt he's smart enough to do that. See, Colonel Basher going into the corners just a bit high there. Since Colonel Basher knows his way around these tracks, maybe Mark Bell Jr. wants to start taking down notes. Nothing much happening with these drivers. There's Seth Moss. Trey Clegg in 25th. I thought Trey Clegg was a pretty fine driver. Right now, he's at 25th right now. Battling Elliott Kennedy for 24th. Looks like Trey Clegg isn't doing too well in this race. Oh darn. Back to the leaders. There was Chris Michael. There's Richard Herman. No, that's Richard Herman. He's gone up to 8th. He's made up into the top 10. Now right behind Daniel Carter, who now went up into 7th. Probably someone came off the track. I don't know. But they must have passed somebody. There's Dalton Jones at 9th. Mike Rowley in 10th. I think he's lost a few spots. Alright. There's Dennis Reese still holding up in 3rd. Robert Hartley in 4th. And Jameson Pratt in 5th. Everyone's starting to spread out again. Still a very tight battle between Colonel Basher and Mark Bell Jr. Looks like Colonel Basher just can't shake off Mark Bell Jr. Staying right behind him. Seriously, Mark Bell Jr. has a chance. He finally has a chance to win. Oh my goodness. I'm actually pretty intrigued to see where this goes, because Mark Bell Jr. has the chance to finally get his first win. Can he do it? Can he make it? Only time will tell. Got 80 laps here. We're nearing the halfway mark. We're on lap 33. Colonel Basher still 0.32 seconds ahead of Mark Bell Jr. Dennis Reese was 2 seconds back, but now 1.88 seconds back. So Dennis Reese closed in the gap a little bit. But will it be enough to catch up? Can Dennis Reese keep closing in the gap to catch up? I don't know. We'll just have to see. Mark Bell Jr. still has the fastest lap time of 21.324 seconds. It's still right behind Colonel Basher. Colonel Basher has made no mistakes so far. but is there a chance that Colonel Basher can slip up? And Martinsville Jr. may take advantage of Colonel Basher if he messes up going into the corners here. We don't know. Let's see what's happening with Dalton Jones. As you may remember, he DNF'd the last race. But Dalton Jones is still a pretty good driver for being independent. Dalton Jones now acing the point standings right now after falling 2 positions from 6th because, you know, of the DNF. His only DNFs this season. He has 3 top 10s and 1 top 5. So Dalton Jones is a pretty good driver. Yeah. And let's take a look at Robert Hartley. Because he's second in the point standings. He's actually ahead of Richard Herman again. Richard Herman is in 7th, but is passing Roman Grosjean for 6th. So Richard Herman is slowly catching up to those leaders here after starting in like 11th or 12th. Now he's going to go try and get 6th from Roman Grosjean, who won this year's Daytona Beach race. He's the Daytona Beach champion here. Roman Grosjean is just barely at the top 10. Well, I can't say just barely, because I mean, you'd have to be a pretty good driver to be in the top 10 at these races with all these competitive drivers. So, props to Roman Grosjean. But yeah, Robert Hartley, second the point standings now, who's gotten a win. Actually, no, he hasn't. He hasn't. That's weird. I thought he did win. I thought he got a win. Okay, well, apparently he didn't, and I'm just stupid. But Robert Hartley nearly got a top 5 in every race. Only 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s. So, I mean, Robert Hartley has gotten nearly the most top 5s out of any driver. Actually, he does, in fact. He has 3 top 5s, and every other driver has either 2 or 1 top 5 or just no top 5s at all. Which, Gary Wilson apparently is the highest ranking driver on the point standings without a top 5 in 9th. I thought that was just interesting to mention. And look at Dennis Reese. He's finally catching up. Is Colonel Basher just going slow? He's pulling out 24.2 second lap times, and Dennis Reese is pulling near 24-second flat lap times. And they're catching up to the lapped cars. Alright, well, we might just see some action yet. Here we go. Colonel Basher is leading in this race. We're on lap 43, halfway there. Mark Bell Jr. is right behind. In second place is 0.38 seconds back. And Dennis Reese, who has moved up to 3rd, showing an impressive move here, is just under a second back now. He was 2 seconds back. Oh no, Mark Bell Jr. went wide there. No, wait, no, it's not. Colonel Basher went into the pits. This might just be scheduled pit stops, so I don't think there's anything wrong with Colonel Basher's car yet. So, for now, Mark Bell Jr. has the lead. But he's probably going to be going into the pits very, very soon. Alright, here we go. I expect this to be pit cycles. Yes, it is. There they go, to pit cycles. Mark Bell Jr. is going into the pits. Dennis Reese and Robert Hartley. Meanwhile, Colonel Basher has just left the pits. He's driving on the grass and merges, nearly hitting Richard Herman, but Richard Herman's still in it. And Richard Herman right there. Alright, let's see who gets out pit road first. Who's it going to be? There's Dalton Jones too. They're starting to go, and Mark Bell Jr. gets out first, and Dennis Reese passes Robert Hartley on pit road. Or did he? I forget. No, he didn't. Robert Hartley was in 4th. Actually, I think Daniel Carter passed Dalton Jones on pit road. Did he? It looked like it. Looked like Daniel Carter has indeed passed Dalton Jones on pit road for 6th? No. Am I just dumb? No, he's an ace. Oh, the caution's out. All right. Yellow flag is out. We're all getting bunched up again. And there they go. Caution is out. Oh, hey, there's Maurice Murray. You never get to see him. There he is. All right. Well, now we're under caution. So, apparently, something must have happened during pit cycles to bring out the caution. But I don't know what. So, anyways, here are the drivers coming up. They're trying to get back behind the pace car. It's going to be a very interesting restart. And there we go. They're all settled down. Well, I guess this should be the time for us to go back and see what has caused this caution. I'll catch up back with you. Alright, there it is. Leaving pit road, Billy Harrison goes onto the track to merge, but just clips Dennis Reese and spins out. And that's what caused the caution. Not a big wreck, but that was a close one. It could have been bad, but Billy Harrison got back into it. Didn't cause too much of a wreck. And Dennis Reese might still be going in it. And wow, they're going 3 wide here. They're racing hard back to the line. It spun them out too. Anyways, that's what happened. Let's go back to the present. Alright, we're back to the present. Colin Basher is leading. Mark Bell Jr. in second. Dennis Reese in third. Robert Hartley in fourth. Jameson Pratt in fifth. And Charlie King just brake checked the field there. I don't know why. Are we going to be going one in green soon? No, looks like we're going to be going for another lap. Mark Bell Jr. brake checks the field now. What is going on? Why are they brake checking each other? Looks like a lot of cars are a lap down. Such as Elliott Kennedy in the 6th car, Charlie King in the 16, Dale Acosta in the 103, Martin Lynch in the 88, Simon Mayer in the 100, Wade Sullivan in the 00, Seth Moss in the 72, and Billy Harrison in the 77, which you just saw caused that caution coming out of the pit road when he merged and clipped Dennis Reese and got himself spun out. Anyways, we're going to be going one to green now. This should be a very exciting restart. Here goes all the lap cars letting up on the inside, and all the cars on the lead lap on the outside. Looks like Lee Jones now is in the top 10, and Roman Grosjean too. And Curtis Goodman has moved up to 11th in the 34 car. That's pretty nice. So here it comes. Colonel Basher coming out of turn 4. He goes. The green flag is out. We're racing again. And Colonel Basher is leading. No more caution. It's green flag racing. And Elliott Kennedy is on that inside of Mark Bell Jr., giving Mark Bell Jr. a hard time to make a pass. But could he still possibly do it? Because, I mean, Mark Bell Jr.'s got a pretty good car, so he might be able to make the outside line work, but I don't know. Colonel Basher already pulling ahead of the other drivers, already nearly a second ahead of Mark Bell Jr. in second. Colonel Basher is going, and he's going. He's absolutely digging it deep. He's going. He knows this is his opportunity to pull ahead of all the other drivers, and he's taken that opportunity. But Mark Bell Jr. has finally gone back past Elliott Kennedy, and Mark Bell Jr. might make the move to try and catch back up to Colonel Basher now. Wait, was that the caution flag? No, it wasn't. I thought the flag waver was waving the yellow flag for a second there. But yeah, can Mark Bell Jr. get good enough lap times to catch up to Colonel Basher before the end of the race? We're going up to lap 56. Colonel Basher with a lap time of 21.378. And Mark Bell Jr., who just got his best lap time last lap, with 21.318. So Mark Bell Jr. still has some pep in his step and could definitely rival Colonel Basher and try and catch up to him. But he's got to be fast. And Mark Bell Jr. improves his lap times even more. Now with an even better lap time of 21.316. But it is the best lap time now out of any driver. Can Mark Bell Jr. continue to improve even more? Nope. But still, a pretty good lap time. And it's still a faster lap time than what Colonel Basher is pulling out. 21.415 and 21.413. So Mark Bell Jr. is still doing pretty good. Now 1.11 seconds back. He's got to make it happen. He's got to drive it in deep to keep closing in the gap. He got a little bit bigger last lap, but he could probably still do it. And Dennis Reese is catching up a bit. Now past Charlie King in the 16 car, who is a lap down. Dennis Reese in the 125, by the way, if you couldn't tell. So yes, Mark Bell Jr. might finally get another opportunity to catch up to Colonel Basher. I don't know if he can pass him yet. He could have had a chance to pass him on the restart if there weren't the lapped cars there, and if it wasn't done during the pit cycles, which messed everybody up. But Mark Bell Jr. still has a chance. He still has a chance, whether you like it or not. He has a chance to win. But Colonel Basher is just super dominant. Alright, what's the gap now? 1.05 seconds of a gap between first place Colonel Basher in the 79 and second place Mark Bell Jr. in the 10. And what has happened to Chris Michael? I don't know what's happening to Chris Michael, but he's not doing too well. He's in 23rd. Last car on the lead lap. No idea what's happened to him. He fell back quite a ways away from the other drivers, as you can see. The other drivers are normally 13 seconds back, but Chris Michael is 19 seconds back. And nearly about to get lapped by Colonel Basher, who's leading this race. I don't know what has happened to Chris Michael. But looks like he's not having a good race day. As well as the other drivers, like Billy Harrison, who got caught up in the wreck. He's last right now. Seth Moss, 30th. Wade Sullivan is 29th. Simon Mayer, who was doing pretty good a few races ago, he's 28th. Mark Bell Jr. now under a second behind. He could definitely catch up by the last lap, but will he make a pass by then? It's close. It's going to be a close one. Mark Bell Jr. is trying to shave off every second he can. Now 0.73 seconds behind. Closing in the gap with every lap, but can he do it fast enough? And will Chris Michael, the lapped car, hold up Colonel Basher leading to make Mark Bell Jr. pass him? It could happen. Mark Bell Jr. might get his first win here. It may look bleak, but Mark Bell Jr. has a chance. It's looking very promising from him. 0.75 seconds back, not too bad. He can still catch up. Look at him. Doing everything he can to keep up with Colonel Basher. 0.66 seconds back. He's definitely closing in the gap. And look at this. 3 seconds back. Dennis Reese, who is at third. And Richard Herman, who has now moved up to fourth, is 6 seconds behind. Wow. But I mean, Colonel Basher is doing very well. I was going to say, Richard Herman, he's been it's amazing to see Richard Herman has moved from all the way from 12th now up to 4th in the top 5. Richard Herman is a good championship contender if he could get another top 5 here. But if Colonel Basher wins this race, he might just catch back up on the point standings after falling down to 4th, as you may remember. Come on, Mark Bell Jr. 0.6 seconds back. We have 10 laps to go. It's 10 laps to go here at Martinsville. This is where Mark Bell Jr. has to send it. He has to make it work. If he can't, then he will have to wait for another race to claim as his first win, as his first victory. Looks like Colonel Basher may just get his 7th win at the inaugural race at Martinsville. Lap after lap. Mike Bell Jr. is just steady near 0.7 seconds back. I don't think Mark Bell Jr. can catch up. I think he's finally steadied the gap. It's stabilized. He can't close in the gap any further than this. But I believe his father, Mark Bell Sr., would still be happy. Would be still be proud for his son getting 2nd in the Martinsville race. So, still, you can respect Mark Bell Jr. He still has the makings of a winner here in this series. But it doesn't look like this will be his race. Alright, lap 76. 6 laps to go. Colonel Basher is still leading. But Mark Bell Jr. is trying to catch up. And Chris Michaels still hasn't been lapped, so I don't think he's going to get lapped by the end of this race. I believe it'll just be Colonel Basher and Mark Bell Jr. with an open track ahead of them. Okay. This is it, guys. The first winner at the Martinsville race is probably going to be Colonel Basher. Mark Bell Jr. is closing in the gap a little bit, though. 0.45 seconds back. Can he make it? Can he catch up by the end? I mean, he could. He got a good lap time there, apparently. Jeez. It's close, but I think Colonel Basher might just be able to keep Mark Bell Jr. behind him. Oh my goodness. This is it. It's 3 laps to go. Colonel Basher is still keeping ahead. Mark Bell Jr. desperately wants to get that win, but I don't think it was meant to be. Mark Bell Jr. might just have to finish for 2nd. Colonel Basher, now 2 laps to go. Dennis Reese is at 3rd, and Richard Herman is at 4th. So Richard Herman will still be able to contend for the championship, which you should be happy for. Here he comes. Colonel Basher goes and takes the white flag. 1 more lap to go. It's the last lap at Martinsville. It looks to be Colonel Basher in the inaugural race at Martinsville will get his 7th victory. Further expanding the record, as you know. Here it goes. This is it. Colonel Basher across the line. He takes the checkered flag. Colonel Basher is the winner once again. His 7th race won at Martinsville. Mark Bell Jr. with a very close 2nd. Mark Bell Jr. really had a good chance there, but it is a shame. Mark Bell Jr. will just have to sell for 2nd, which I believe is still a good finish for him. Eddie Moore, on the other hand, is going to finish 16th, which is Mark Bell Jr.'s teammate. There they go. Into the pits. They're all going in. after a lengthy race. And a hard one at that. Dalton Jones finishing 10th. Alright. Well, that was the race. Mike Riley is still out on the track for some reason. I don't know why. He doesn't want to come in even though the race is done. Mike Riley, you gotta come in. He's really the only guy out there. Okay, there he goes. He's going into the pits. Well, anyways, thank you all for joining me at this race at Martinsville. It's been a fun race. We saw Colonel Basher get his 7th win. Anyways, let's go to victory lane. And there we have it. Colonel Basher has gotten the win. Mark Bell Jr. finishing 2nd, only 0.47 seconds back. Dennis Reese has finished 3rd. Richard Herman's finished 4th. Jameson Pratt has finished 5th. Robert Hartley's finished 6th. Daniel Cutter's finished 7th. Roman Gargian's finished 8th. Lee Jones has finished 9th. And Dalton Jones has finished 10th. Now, Richard Herman still has the points lead. Robert Hartley still 2nd in the points. And Colonel Basher now 3rd in the point standings. Lee Jones 4th. Mark Bell Jr. up to 5th in the point standings. Chris Michael 6th. Eddie Moore 7th, Dalton Jones 8th, Daniel Carter 9th, and Dennis Reese down the top 10 in the point standings. Dennis Reese had a great finish at 3rd. Well, okay, anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all at the next race at the Fireman's Park Speedway. This championship is getting very interesting. Boy.